And talking to other people racing on gravel bike, they actually said they had a lot of issues with some of the sections. So I guess it's a personal preference. I'm sure people who have gravel bike would disagree with me, and I'm sure there's plenty of them, but I felt super comfortable riding the whole race on the mountain bike. And if I do it again, I would definitely use mountain bike. I mean, I followed your recommendations, guys, as well.
Okay, Lael, if you want to go next.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend riding a mountain bike. I rode a hardtail. I would actually ride a full suspension mountain bike because I think it would be more fun. I think you would enjoy the descents more. I think overall I would ride faster. But the only thing I would say is if you only have a gravel bike, then do it with that. If you have access to getting another bike, get a mountain bike. Don't use it as an excuse to not ride it. Ride it definitely, but you're best suited on a mountain bike with, at least 2.2-inch tires and very easy gearing is the other part of it too, because the pitches were very steep. I actually crashed and bent my derailleur hanger and couldn't use my easiest gear for the second half of the race, and it was really hard. So easy gearing and big tires, and it's a lot more fun like that.
Yeah, something I want to add is we didn't select our panelists because they rode mountain bikes. This is just casualties. Okay, Lieven, if you want to add something, please.
I don't think I have much to add because I think that both ladies were definitely completely correct. I have no other bike than my hardtail mountain bike, but I love to ride it through the Balkan race. I don't think maybe you should ask Sebastian, because Sebastian came in second and he rode. So I think maybe he can answer, but I think those people they had so many the wrist problems with the non-suspension at all. I think overall a hardtail mountain bike is the perfect one. Some sections will be, especially in the beginning, the first day, you could say, okay, it was perfect to ride a gravel bike, but then when the track gets a bit rough and with all the loose rocks, and my opinion, definitely mountain bike. My opinion.
Okay, nice. Thank you. And I will go with Lieven again. So the question is there anything you wouldn't take with you if you did it again, and anything that you wish you did pack?
Well, I wouldn't leave anything. I could have left something after the race. It's easy to say that, of course. I took a raincoat. I took so many warm clothes, which I didn't have to use. But the day after, when I arrived, it was raining, and it was we saw some people coming in really wet and cold. So it's with the weather forecast. Okay, they said like 4 days it would be great in the not that heavy clothing, but I wouldn't leave anything at home. I feel really comfortable with my little tent and my sleeping bag and my mattress, and that's give me such a comfort feeling that I wouldn't let it home. No, definitely, I would take it all.
So you did bring your sleeping pad, sleeping bag, and also a tent.
Yes. Everything. Maybe if you find something on the road to sleep, it's perfect. But if you don't, and the weather turns out bad, or you have a bad day, or anything, it's such a comfort feeling that you can always pitch up your tent and sleep and get warm when it's cold or whatever. For me, it's a comfort feeling. I have it with me. Simple as that.
Okay. Lael, would you like to give us your opinion?
Yeah, I think the only thing I might do differently is bring more capacity for water and more drinks. The weather was super hot. I just had 2 bottles, which was okay, but there wasn't much water on the route, which you did explicitly put in the resources that there wouldn't be. Eventually, I realized most people, if you passed a house, they usually had a well. If you see these big boxes, but a little bit raised above the ground, usually you can pull a bucket of water up from there. And that's how I found water after a couple days. But there really isn't any surface water, and you don't pass through that many towns, so that's a little bit trickier. I probably would have brought more water and maybe more food too. But I did bring stuff for colder weather, and I definitely didn't need it. Rain jacket was great. Rain pants good too, but I think I had a down jacket and I didn't need that at all. So it's pretty hot in June.
To give a bit of context, both Lael and Lieven actually finished before a big storm arrived. So they did race through actually a pretty important heat wave in the first 6 days of June, 7 days of June. While on the other hand, Ivana experienced another kind of weather. So I would like to hear also your advices, Ivana.
Yeah, I actually experienced both type of weather, hot and cold, but heat was not a problem for me because I'm coming from Dubai and been here for the past 8 years. So I definitely didn't have enough warm clothes. And my waterproof gear actually was not waterproof because I haven't tested it properly. Living in Dubai, also no rain. So that was a big mistake, and I was cold a lot. I didn't have waterproof gloves, and it was pretty miserable.
And what kind of sleeping kit did you bring?
I had a BV bag, and I had a mattress. It was light, but I think it was very necessary. It was, as Lieven said, I needed this comfort that I can crash anywhere, I can sleep. So some people didn't bring any sleeping system, and they were very dependent on places where they can stay and sleep over, and there was not a lot of places to stay over during the whole race. So I think that the sleeping system was a very important part. So I don't regret having extra gear.
Is there anything you would leave at home if you...
I brought flip-flops that I've never used, and I actually lost them. So that was a complete failure. Luckily, they were not too heavy, but definitely no flip-flops next time.
What was your sleeping system, Lael?
I had a bivy sleeping bag and sleeping pad. And I was super happy to have that. I think that's an important part too, is that the race is so long that you do have to plan for some sleep. Some sleep along the way, even if it's just a couple of hours. I think it definitely, overall, you needed just a little bit.
Yeah, so the next questions will be, how do you prepare for an event by looking at the route? So what do you do before an event? And what did you do specifically for the Trans Balkan, of course? If you want to answer, Lael, you can go first.
Sure, yeah, I don't think I really did anything to prepare. But I think I was also excited that it was the first year of the race, so none of us really knew what we were getting into, and I liked that energy for it. That is why I brought a mountain bike, because I thought, if I really don't know what I'm going to find, I know this is kind of the best compromise of any bike. I was really happy with that. Beyond that, usually what I look at is where can I find food and water. And then if you have something you're comfortable sleeping in, then that's really all I really need to get ready.
Do you make like a small list, paper list that you bring with you, or is just, I don't know, a list on your phone?
Yeah, I had a paper list, but you provided that in the manual. I thought, well, I'm going to have to do some research. And then you actually put like, these are the towns, these are kind of the size of the towns. You can expect to find these resources. So you did that, which I was super grateful for. I think the biggest preparation is to actually thoroughly read the manual, because the information is all there. And nothing about the ride was that Like everything was pretty straightforward, very challenging physically, pretty remote. I think the biggest question I had going into it from other people were, aren't you afraid of the dogs? Because there's kind of this rumor that there are really mean dogs along the way, and they were actually all really nice. I had great experiences with the locals. I couldn't communicate with anyone. They always asked me questions, and I just kind of put my hands up and smiled and waved. But everybody was really nice. I didn't have any negative experiences. I think people were just curious because I don't think they see a lot of cyclists coming through these areas.
I like your story. You said we met at some point during the race, and you said people, when you first enter into supermarkets or bars, people were, you thought they were asking you, where are you from? So you replied, Alaska. And they were actually saying, de verdad, which is good morning.
Hello. Yeah, it would be helpful to learn a little bit to communicate, and also they had different currency too. So I guess I just went into it totally blind, which should be proof that anybody could do this.
Okay. Lieven, what do you normally do, and what did you do for the Trans Balkans preparation?
For the Trans Balkan, I did the same as Lael, which is quite nothing. And I just copied the list you provided. I had this plastic folio on it, and I kept it with me. And that's it actually. And for the rest, no special preparations. I brought some food. I always bring some extra food just in case if you don't find anything. So the dried food mueslis are quite good, and just pour some water in it, and that should do it. But I didn't had any problems in finding food. I even skipped some points you had mentioned. I didn't had any problems. And normally, I like to see. I don't make that much preparations in front. I just like to travel the route and see what's coming, and then try to find something. No special preparations, not looking through Google Earth and everything, the complete route. Just see what comes on the road, and then I bought a $15 €15 bottle of Coca-Cola somewhere in some cafe. They probably must have seen, okay, this guy needs the Coke, so we're gonna ask him a stupid lot of money, but didn't have any problems at all.
You probably asked for Coke and not for cola.
I'm not sure what they gave me, but it was good. It kept me going for a while.
Okay. Ivana, what about you?
Well, pretty similar what guys already mentioned. Just try to find a place where you can have some food and water resupply, but you guys already prepared that for us. So the list that you actually provided was the most accurate one. Audrey and my teammate was in charge of getting additional food sources and water sources, but somehow all of these places she found, they were either closed permanently or just the working hours were shorter than it was on Google Maps. So actually, sometimes we were in trouble because we were relying on these places that we found aside of the places you guys provided. But luckily, we realized early, let's stick to the original plan and just check the manual one more time and check the list the guys provided. So it was, as Lael mentioned, everything was in the manual, and if you really carefully read what's in there, you'll know all your answers. So because there's not a lot of places to resupply, every single time we would stop, we would buy probably 5,000 calories. So we had plenty of food, because just in case we don't find another supermarket, because maybe by the time we are there, which happened many times because we were at the back of the pack, by the time we come to a small village shop, all riders pass by, there's no water left, there is no bread left, there is nothing left. So It was a bit tricky because it's just a small place, and even for the locals, there is not enough supply. And if you have 100 riders passing by the time you come, there might not be any food. So we were actually, whenever we have a big shop, we always buy extra food. So there was no issue.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Can I
sorry.
add something?
Of course.
I must say, it sounds easy to if you say, yeah, I just take the list you provided. But indeed, as Ivana said, you have to be in some kind of luck, because also after in checkpoint 1 in the little village, there was a store. It was open until 7 o'clock, I think. I think I was at the checkpoint at 6, and I was thinking, okay, I'm lucky because I could resupply everything, but then you start thinking, okay, the ones coming 1 hour or even a few hours later, the shop is closed, and then it's a completely different ball game. I think I had 2 or 3 times when at 4 o'clock I passed the shop, and then I start thinking, and then it's easy if you have this little map you provided, and you can see, okay, that there isn't that much coming the next few hours, even if you travel fast. So if you travel slower, you have to be aware that it can take a long time between two resupplying points. And I was kind of lucky in all of those points, which made it easier, of course. But if you also always comes when the shop is closed for 5 minutes, then you're different ball game then. Eh?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to us at the first checkpoint. There was a small shop that was closed, and
But the shop was perfect, eh? But
we didn't have any resupply. So the next shop was open. It was a bakery at 7 a.m. next day, and I think reaching to the next checkpoint would be way too long. And obviously, there is just limited food at the checkpoint, so we had to wait until this shop opens. So we had a proper breakfast. Bus was with us there. He remembers that breakfast. So we actually had to wait a little bit, maybe take a little bit more sleep, which was not bad. But again, the availability of the shops also was dictating the pace of our race sometimes. So yeah, sometimes you have to be really smart and just think in advance, way in advance with the food.
Another thing worth mentioning is that usually in Slovenia, for example, supermarkets in smaller towns are closed during Sunday and sometimes also Saturday afternoon. So you have to plan in advance.
Yeah, Montenegro as well Sunday was closed. Yeah.
What about your water system? What did you have with you?
I had since I'm coming from the running background, I had my backpack with 3 liters of water, and I had two flasks plus additional 2 just in case, the stocked ones. So I had plenty of water all the times, and every single checkpoint where there was a water or well, we would resupply. So that was not an issue. As a novice into bikepacking, I was always at, what if I run out of water? So I think I carried more than I should have, but in the end, that proved that, okay, it was actually fine. I compromised with my bike setup and carrying a lot of things, but I never had any issue with food or water supplies.
Lael said she had 2 bottles. What about you, Lieven? You also had a backpack, if I remember correctly.
I had a backpack, but it wasn't carrying any water in it. I only have the 3 750 milliliter bottles on my bike, which are, of course, easily filled. And then I always have place to store some extra Coca-Cola or milk or anything. There was this store which I passed, and I had 7 liters of liquids, any kind of water, milk, cola, name it. It was 7 liters packed all over the place, but it goes really quick. 7 liters is gone in a few hours, of course, especially with the heat. But that was my drinking system. I had this little how to say it, to clear the water, the filtering system, the little tablets. I had them with me, but I don't like to use them, and I didn't have to, so it was okay for me like that. But sometimes you're packed like a mule with everything on the bike.
Yeah. Well, we have some messages in the group chat. We'll answer. Yeah, I'll read it as we'll answer the next question, and then go through the messages in the chat. So I will open a big parenthesis now, which is the next question, and it's about animals. So Lael mentioned that there were many dogs on the route, but she did not have any problems, which is also our experience riding in the Balkans and scouting the route. Dogs will come to you in an aggressive way because they're protecting the
They're doing their job.
yeah, they're basically working. But once you stop, so this is the advice we added to the race manual, and we usually give when people ask us this, is just stop, dismount from the bike if possibly, and if the dogs want to approach, let the dog approach, not in an aggressive way. They usually calm down by then, and personally, I'm a dog lover, I'm an animal lover, so I usually go there and I pet every single one of the dogs on the route. What was your experience, Ivana?
My experience was slightly different. There was a lot of dogs and a lot of dogs chasing us. It was scary, but as you said, you just have to slow down. I guess, I mean, I was never bitten by a dog, but at certain points I thought it was dangerous, especially when we were, I think it was Montenegro, and it was a very remote place, and it was early morning, and there were two huge, massive dogs, like super scary, and it was me and Audrey and two more riders. Bas was one of them, and they just started circling us just like that, and literally creating a circle. We couldn't move at some point because they were just barking from both sides, and it was super scary. Luckily, the locals woke up and they just kind of scared them away, but it was really, really, really scary. And there is no chance you can pet those dogs. They're huge. I think they're sheep dogs, and probably there were some sheep around, so they felt threatened, but it was scary.
You didn't have problems with the dogs, Lael, did you?
No, I didn't have problems with the dogs, but whenever I do see like a dog in the road, well, I've got a couple of different strategies. If the dog is close enough that it could come at me, then I stop. And if it's still barking at me, then I usually pick up a rock and act like I'm going to throw it. And a dog that's mean knows what that means. They've seen it before. And I mean, that's kind of sad. I don't actually throw the rock. I just pretend, and then they run away. If I see a dog sooner and that I think is going to be mean and I'm descending, I just ride straight at it, and then it goes out of the way. But it's like, do you have enough time to ride straight at the dog, or do you have to stop and like pretend to threaten the dog? But with either of those strategies, then the dog will go. But I have not during the Trans Balkan Race, but I have in Greece bike touring seen those really mean sheepdogs in Greece and Albania, and even the shepherds were afraid of them. So I think, there are some really big dogs that are terrifying. Fortunately, I didn't see any on the Trans Balkan Race, but in that case, I think I would just try to keep my bike in between me and the dogs and slowly get away from them. That's the only possible advice I would have for that. But that's really scary, but also pretty unique. I didn't see I didn't see any dogs on the Trans Balkan Race like that, and I've only seen them in the mountains by sheep in Greece and Albania. and they are working, their job is to protect the sheep. They see you as a threat, so they're just trying to protect what they're trying to do their job, but it is terrifying because they have like huge mouths too and huge teeth. So I don't know. I think you have to kind of, the main thing is just being aware of your surroundings, seeing what's there, if there are any threats. Beyond that, for animals, like in Bosnia, I saw all these really big, bright green lizards, and that I've never seen before. That was really cool. I saw a bear right at the border to Montenegro, but it was like a little tiny bear and it just ran away. I think I was so surprised I saw it. I was like, hi, and it just ran like it was terrified of me. And then I think a lot of people actually saw small bears, but none that were like mean. But it's pretty cool. I didn't think there were bears in Europe, and it was cool to see one. So there were some animals, and that was kind of a special thing, was that it actually felt like a pretty wild and remote place in Europe. So I thought that was a cool part about it.
Lieven,
I
what's your...
didn't met any dogs either in the Trans Balkan. Maybe I'm not sure, but maybe after a few of us have passed, the dogs are even more crazy because I think they keep on coming or what. I don't know, but I didn't. I think once I met one, but it was on a leash, almost hanging himself. So it's normal. He's get a little bit frustrated, I think. But I must say I didn't met any animals either. No bears, no dogs, no lizards, nothing. I always sleep with earplugs. Maybe they were surrounding me during the night. I don't know. But I didn't met any dogs or anything.
Would you suggest
I must say it's in Kyrgyzstan there were a lot of dogs, and it's easy to say, yeah, you have to stop and you have to put your bike between them. But if I see a dog coming like a crazy monster, I try to speed up. It's not easy after 5 days to speed up in a fresh wild dog. But yeah, I didn't have the courage to put my bike in between them.
Would you suggest bringing repellent spray? Would any of you actually suggest it?
You have to carry so much things. No, I don't think that's you probably end up spraying it in your own face or something like that, or I don't know. No, I don't think that's the perfect remedy for it.
Okay. So someone is asking, Joanna actually is asking, we're coming back to resupplies, resupply topic. Some of you have mentioned the resupplies are rare, but then someone mentioned they were just shops for a couple of hours. Did you ever go more than 24 hours without any option for resupplies? Ivana, what about you?
No, I don't think there was never 24 hours for sure.
No.
No.
Lael?
Yeah, I don't think I stopped at a store until the third day, but that was also my own fault. The first day there were actually many more in Slovenia. There were a few options, but I thought, I have enough food, no problem. And then the second day, I think, was when I went through the first checkpoint, and I missed the shop there because it was already closed by the time I got there. And then the next day I didn't see anything. So the third day I got my first resupply. So I should have brought more food. I always bring like a lot of emergency nuts, and I think that's all I basically ate for the second day. I don't know. The other thing you can do, and I didn't want to detour off route to find a store. There are sometimes like you pass close to bigger cities and you could, go a couple kilometers off route to go to a store. It's not that remote. So you could usually find something. Then, yeah, I was really happy when I finally did stop at a shop. I think I got like 2 loaves of bread and made these sandwiches that are like as big as my face. Yeah, and there was the food was actually pretty good. It was, bread and meats and cheese and there was always plenty to eat, ice cream and everything else. So I thought when you did get to a town with stores, they were pretty well stocked, and the food was good.
Do you think it would be possible for someone with dietary restrictions, for example, I don't know, dairy or meat restrictions, to find resupplies on the route?
Yeah, there were always some different options. I feel like the towns would have like a small store, a bakery, restaurants, so you could find something that worked. I think there was always plenty. It wasn't like compared to Kyrgyzstan, there was way more food on Trans Balkan Race, much more kind of European style, and it was all actually pretty good, high quality food too, pretty tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Lieven, go, please.
No. She's right. She's right.
Okay. What about places where you can actually recharge your devices if you're not sleeping inside every night, for example? Ivana, how did you experience this?
Well, as I said, I overpacked, so I had probably 3 or 4 batteries, plus I had extra headlights, head torches. I carried a lot of stuff, and I think I only needed to charge like 5th day or something like that. But then when I actually needed to charge the batteries and stuff, the problem was when we get to the restaurant, most of the people go to the same restaurant, and there is plenty of riders, and there is only 3 plugs. So that was a little bit difficult. I could have chosen to go to a different restaurant, but I haven't. I think you could manage. You just have to be smart, and you learn a lot on the way. And of course, you need to charge. There is a priority. You can charge the tracker on one checkpoint. On the second checkpoint, you're going to charge your light. On the third one, I don't know what else you need to charge. But it was enough. I think it was not challenging. It's just when you sit to eat, you can recharge.
So I actually saw here Eva was asking, Ursula was asking if it's possible to ask locals for food or water in case all the shops are closed or there are no shops. So this is actually a very tricky question. And so in bikepacking races, there is what is called trail magic. If you happen to stumble upon someone who doesn't know about the race, so it's totally and they're offering to you food or water in a naive way, you can actually accept that offer. You shouldn't ask for water intentionally for water or for food to privates, because this is part of a different it is forbidden actually by the rules. We will try to make this clear. Hopefully you will never get to the point where you really need to rely on locals to resupply yourself, because as Ivana, Lieven, and Lael said, you always have one or more than one option in less than 24 hours. So in less than 24 hours apart. So it is actually key, and it's part of the challenge to be able to schedule your resupplies and to resupply and pack enough water, enough food. So yeah, this is basically the answer. Would you like to add anything?
No, I think it will be all written on the manual, so it will be easy to find maybe more answers in the manual.
Yeah. It should be. I think we try to keep the rules really simple and straightforward. We think, and this is also some kind of a problematic topic to engage in. We do not like rules in the fact that we think people that will join this kind of event want to challenge themselves and want to experience the route and give their best. So they should be able to rely on their integrity, basically, on themselves, and understand when one thing should be done and when it's actually something that other people would not do in that situation. We know that everybody is different, and so we provide actually 8 rules that summarize and should be ground rules for everybody. When this set of rules cannot actually apply to any situation. So if anything comes up in a second moment, we will analyze that situation and take a decision, basically, with good sense, and analyze any problem that might come up. So what is your experience in this case, Lael? Had you had any problems in this direction?
Yeah, no, I think along the way, one time a guy offered me a beer, and then he didn't know about the race, so he offered me a beer. I said no. Then he said, how about a Pepsi? So yeah, I think he gave me like a little cup of Pepsi, and then he played a song for me on his guitar, and then I left, and that was it. With the water thing, it was tough because it was a heat wave. There was a lot more water, surface water, and some fountains in Bosnia and Montenegro. So I didn't have any problems there. Croatia and Slovenia, both the water was all underground. So that was a little bit trickier. So I think, throughout the route, it's not totally consistent with the challenges of finding food and water. The first half was definitely drier than the second half. But I feel like it was super hot. So I think that's why. I see some stuff's coming up about currencies. Yeah, everyone did take euros. They would just give you change back in their local currency if they didn't have euros. So it was cool that the culture was different along the way, but I think logistically there weren't really any challenges.
No, that is correct.
Things will be also a little bit different this year, because last year we had euro in Slovenia, then kuna in Croatia, then basically marks in Bosnia, and then euro again in Montenegro. From January 1st, Croatia will actually become part of Europe officially, and they're also taking on euro. So the only different currency will be in Bosnia. But they usually accept, so it's really simple. Euro is basically double the local currency. So you just need to divide it by 2. And they usually give you, they accept euro and give you back in local currency. So this will be easier, hopefully, this year. So, Lieven, is there anything you would like to add to what we said? Any advice? Any story from the crowd?
Well, the only advice is if you want to participate, do it. And it's a beautiful track. It's an amazing journey. It's not only a race; it's a journey. It's enjoy it. Don't see it as a race. If you start it, just look at yourself and then go on your own pace, and try to sleep when it's necessary, because otherwise you end up in some kind of zombie modus. So sleep, enjoy. Hopefully the weather is as good as we had it. Maybe a little bit colder, maybe, or not that hot, but that's the only advice I could give you. Don't start racing in day one. It's such a long track. You will end up at your place if you don't start too quick. The first day is the toughest. You can completely ruin your complete race, I think, in the first day. After a few hours, the adrenaline is coming down a little bit, and then you start cycling at your own pace, and then it's easy. Then it's easy. Enjoy it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful track.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's not a race, it's a journey, it's an adventure. It's absolutely stunning. I enjoyed every single second of the race. It was challenging on multiple levels, but the experience of going through 4 countries and just soaking up the nature, living your life just relying on cycling and eating, and that's it. Just that's the only thing you have to do. It's just it's stunning. I would do it anytime, any day. I would highly recommend for everyone, not even to think about, hey, what if I can't do it, or just take it day by day and just enjoy. And as Lieven said, like, don't go out all out first day. Just take it as an adventure. It's a journey, and it's really something special.
What about you, Lael?
I totally agree. I feel like everyone should ride in the Balkans. I loved the route. It was the best event I did the entire year, and I raced 7. So this was the best one. If you're curious, you should do it. It's a great adventure with very little risk. It's like you feel like you're really far out there, but you're never that far from anything if you actually needed it. And I feel like you're passing through areas that you wouldn't see otherwise, and it's exceptionally beautiful. I was amazed with how beautiful, especially Bosnia and Montenegro both were. I loved the riding. It's rough. It's definitely mountain biking, but that shouldn't be a thing that keeps you away. In fact, it makes it more of an adventure. And some of these, the way that you made the connections, Bea, were incredible. It was like, where are we? Where does this lead? But I will also say that the track was absolutely accurate. Even if you're like, where is this road? You are on it. It's just a very old road. So everything is set up to make it as straightforward as possible. But with that in mind, it's a super adventurous route. Come into it with a lot of energy, and yeah, give yourself a little grace along the way for sleeping and dealing with, challenges that come up as you go. But I mean, I think this year, what was it? Half the people that started finished or so, which is great because it was a super challenging route. But that's a pretty good sign that, it's doable. It's tough. But I feel like even if you didn't make it to the end, you still got like such a great adventure just being out there. I didn't see a lot of people along the way. I would say that too. You're out there alone. I didn't see very many racers ever. Everybody spreads out quite a bit. So that's kind of a cool experience too. You really feel like it's just you and the track and, some animals, some small towns, but you're mostly just out there with beautiful views.
Okay, thank you. So we will now close the open panel and start the panel specifically for women. Any one of you is welcome to stay also at the women's panel, but if you don't want to, you're free to go, basically. So the first question, many of the questions we actually received from women were about safety. And the first question is, how do I, basically asking for tips on how to convince my partner, family, friends that it's a good idea for me as a woman to go on this adventure by myself? Yeah. Ivana, would you like to answer, and then Lael can go next, please?
Yeah, sure. I didn't have any fear from the beginning of the race till the end of the race for my safety. It was totally safe. People were extremely friendly throughout the whole Balkans. I really didn't feel threatened at all. Like, it was just, okay, it was dark and we were scared of dark, but there is nothing out there to be scared of. Maybe dogs barking, but I didn't have a second of fear in me throughout the whole race. And I'm not sure if, I never actually thought about fear, even before the race. So I don't think there is any challenge.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I didn't feel unsafe ever. I think, convincing your family or your partners, you are carrying a tracking device. So that's a level of safety for people along the way to know they can follow you and see where you are and what you're passing through. It was so remote that I think a lot of people would think, oh, you're afraid of being attacked by other people, but there was nobody out there. If you pass through a small town, once you got a kilometer away, there were 0 people. So mostly you are just alone out there. You have a tracker for safety. Beyond that, I don't think there was anything else to really be afraid of.
Yeah, I just have to add, Lael said there is a tracker, and this is super safe. I can confirm we, by mistake, Audrey pressed SOS button a couple of times by mistake.
Oh,
Her
no.
tracker she tried to push the tracker inside of her bag, and she pushed it so hard that she beeped like 7 times. And then Bea straight away texted us, "Are you guys okay? Is everything okay? Are you," like, it's really everyone from the team is super responsive. So in case something happens, like, the team is with you 24/7. Like, there's no doubt in that.
For this year, we will actually switch. So last year, we used GSM GPS devices that rely on the telephone connection. So the network was not always perfect. We had some gray areas where the connection was not great, and we had like 1 or 2 hour stops, which was very made us very anxious. I felt like my parents, basically, caring for everybody out there. We are switching to satellites this year, so it will be even safer as a tracking device and relay mode. Yes. So yeah, the next question is basically, what are the risks in the Balkans, and what did you do to protect yourself and protect yourself from other people? What I would like to add is the Balkans are not different than any other place in Europe. They're basically less populated. They're wilder, and these also they also come from a pretty recent war 30 years ago. So you can still see the signs, the scars of this war in the buildings, in the cities, and sometimes also in people's heart. But they are all very welcoming. And I think anybody in the Trans Balkan Race actually had a great experience with the locals. They have been either greeted or helped by the locals in many ways. I think somebody has also been invited to sleep in 2 cabins during the last days of the race when it got really cold and rainy. So, what were your experiences with the locals? Was everything good usually, Lael?
Yeah, everything was great. People were friendly. I didn't really talk with them, but you can figure out a way to communicate the things that you need. Like walking into a bar, you show them your water bottles. They're like, "Oh, you want to fill up your water bottles," or you gesture that you want to eat something. And I feel like maybe Montenegro, it seemed like they had more tourists, so they would be like or they were like more expecting that they would be accommodating your desires as far as like going to a restaurant. That's where it seemed like more that. Otherwise, it was pretty simple, but there was enough to find. And I wish that I could have like answered people's questions. One lady was asking me where I was going, and then I told her the name of the town and pointed up this like steep hillside, and she was like, no, it's this way, and like trying to give me really detailed directions. And I couldn't tell her like, no, I'm part of this race. I think I was like, well, am I supposed to point at my GPS, or she's going to be like, this lady's crazy. She's following a box and going up the mountainside. It's like I couldn't explain what I was doing, but everyone was trying to help, basically. So I think if you were in like a bad situation, they would figure out how to help you. But otherwise, it was just, it was pretty funny.
Sorry. Would like to add something, Ivana?
Sorry, guys, I couldn't hear you because you guys were muted, and now I was muted and I was talking. What was the question?
what was your experience with the locals?
Oh yeah, so I am coming from this region, basically from ex-Yugoslavia. I'm originally Serbian, so for me it was very easy to communicate because we basically speak the same language but with a different accent. And because all these countries were kind of in war with each other, you would think there would be an issue because I have a little bit different accent and I might have been in war. My country might have been in war with Croatia, so you think there might be some issues. But I've really felt safe. There was no issue, and obviously they know that I'm not Croatian or I'm not Bosnian because my accent is totally different. But it was really, really safe. Everyone was super, super, super friendly. I was seriously surprised.
Okay, sir. Well, would you like to add anything? First of all, is there any question from the public, from our audience? Is there anything you would like to ask Lael or Ivana specifically? Yeah, Eva, please.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were scared during the night, if you slept in a ditch or somewhere just in your beefy bag, if there would be a boar or something else, like a bear is maybe a bit too much, but animals coming next to you.
Yeah, I didn't have any animals, and I did sleep in a couple of ditches on the side of the road. And I had a fox, like in Spain, come over me, but in the Balkans, no animals at all. So, and I felt like you could pretty much sleep anywhere. The final night I slept on like a patch of gravel, I think, for a couple hours, but there were just on the side of the road, there would not be any people. Once I slept in someone's, like the entrance to a cabin because no one was there, and they had a fountain. I thought, oh, this is great. They have water and no one's there and I can sleep. Because the reality is, if you're sleeping, if you stop in the dark and you leave in the dark, probably no one will even know that you were ever there. So I think the thing going into it is just, when you pick a spot, think, do I feel good here? Do I feel safe? Am I going to be able to rest? Maybe take 2 minutes just to get a feeling for the place so you don't feel uneasy while you're sleeping. But for me, there were always plenty of places to be. So it wasn't too hard. When I was tired, I would stop. And I think that would really help for recovery and feeling good the next day. I think what the race took me 5 days or 6 days, something like that. So I was sleeping 4 hours a night or so, and that worked out for me.
Ivana?
Yeah, I agree with Lael. I haven't had any encounters with any animals, and I felt pretty safe to just sleep in a ditch, literally. And honestly, you were so tired that you just totally switch off. It's just, there's no chance you can think about any animal or anything. You fall asleep straight away, and before you know, you already have to wake up. And yeah, we also try to sleep around 4, sometimes 5 hours. But it's just, there is no worry at all about any animals. It was so natural. I felt sleeping in nature felt so good. The sleep in nature was much better than any sleep I have in my cozy bed. I guess it's adrenaline of the adventure. So I really appreciate every single moment in the race.
More questions from the audience. If anybody wants to ask anything, please switch on your microphone, because I cannot see everybody, every single one of you. So if you want to switch on your microphone and ask anything, please do so.
Yeah, I have a small question. Sorry. You mentioned something on the manual to be released. Was that in January? Or was there something else in January?
Yeah, we said by the end of January we'll give out the official route, and I think the race manual will accompany it, so you'll have both. and they're basically necessary one for the other. We try to keep the race manual really short and simple, straightforward, but also extensively. It comprehends all the information you might need for the race. The only information we ask you to give us before the race are actually basically if you need a satellite tracker or if you'll have your own, and if you will need to transfer either a back box or a luggage to the finish line, or if you would like to book cardboard box at the finish line. So yeah, I wanted to add one more thing about application. So we did not have an application process last year. We decided to add it as an integration this year. It should not be seen as a way to cut people out from the race. This is not our intention, and also not the reason why we added it. We basically want to meet every single one of you before the race and understand a bit better what is your background, both in terms of bikepacking and also in terms of outdoor experience. You don't necessarily need to be to have done a lot of bikepacking races to take part in this one, but you should have some outdoor skills, some riding experience, etc., and be able to support yourself for at least 6-7 days in the wild, basically. And the other thing we decided to add to the application process is basically really silly question, but it's what is the suggested bike for the Trans Balkan Race? The Trans Balkan Race is a mountain bike race. We said it last year, and it's okay if you want to ride it on a gravel bike. It's just you will have a rough time, a hard time. I think Lieven, Ivana, and Lael said it. They rode on a mountain bike, all the three of them, and they were very happy too. Some other people did ride and finish with a gravel bike. They were a little bit less happy. So our suggestion is to put yourself in the position where you will ride on a comfortable bike with easy gearing, wide tires, so that you actually have a great time on the trail, on the route, and you're not suffering because of the vibration, because of loose gravel. From pictures, you cannot always see how rough the route is. It always seems like a wide dirt road. It's not like that. The karst environment in the Balkans is predominant, so you always get these resurfacing bedrocks, these really sharp rocks that makes everything a little bit bumpy, and also may cause tire problems on smaller tires. Yes. So does any one of you want to add something? And if not, I will thank you.
I really loved it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. As you might have guessed, this is my first time hosting a panel, and I was really great to have Lael, Ivana, and Lieven here, and we saw many of the veterans of the Trans Balkan Race here. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us last year. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope to see you again anytime, and yeah, good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Go, Balkan Race.
Bye.